What do you think of when I say the word underdog? Do you think of sports legends like Jackie Robinson or fictional movie stars like Rocky? I grew up loving underdog stories of all kinds from everywhere. There's something so inspirational for me watching the long shot make it or hearing a wonderful rags to riches tale. And sure, I like watching the victory, but I love watching the struggle because it's there that we find out what someone is truly made of. And it makes the win so much more meaningful and larger than life. We could even say that the underdog story is the American way. The very history of America is one of meeting rising challenges that dates back to the Revolutionary War. So what does that mean for us? What does this mean for you and me? It means that it's in our DNA. Underdogs are who we are. They make us believe that anything is capable. But it's not every day that we get the chance to meet a real, larger-than-life underdog. But I did. In September of 2015, I had the pleasure of meeting Julissa Ars. Now, her story is one of meeting rising challenges, and it's an American underdog story. Only it's one that you've probably never heard of, or you have, but you never thought to call it one, an American underdog story. So I'm excited to share that with you today. Julissa Ars came to us from another country at the young age of 11 on a tourist visa. She was raised in San Antonio, Texas. She was enrolled in a local Catholic school where she adjusted quickly. And early on, she had a knack for mathematics. At the age of 14, Julissa had dreams. She had dreams of getting her driver's license, moving on to high school, and going on to college at some point. She also wished to travel outside of the country. But that same age, her dreams did not seem as she had wanted them to be. Because that same year, her visa expired, which meant only one thing. It meant that she was now undocumented. Now, at her young age, she claimed that she knew what that meant and the struggle that she would have to go through for the rest of her life. But there was no way of knowing the real pain that she would have to endure for many years to come. When she turned 16, Julissa wanted to drive. She was fully capable. But unlike her friends, she was unable to get her driver's license. She also wanted to travel outside of the country to see her family on holidays, because many of them did live back in her parents' home country. But if she would have no way of coming back. And then her dreams of going to college became further out of reach because she realized that she had no way of paying for it. Most college students, like many of you here today, pay for your tuition by applying for the FAFSA, the free application for student aid. And it's through this process that you pay for your tuition. You're awarded grants and loans based on your level of need. But undocumented students cannot apply for the FAFSA, which meant that Julissa had no way of paying for college. What do you do when you start struggling, when you get into a hard situation? If you're fortunate, you turn to your mom and dad, and that's just what she did. She turned to her parents. She was desperate to belong, desperate to be an American, so she asked them a couple questions. First, she asked them, "Mom, Dad, can I marry a gay friend?" And they said no. Then she asked them, "Well, can my friend Tiffany's parents adopt me?" And again, they said no. The Arses wanted to help their daughter, but they just didn't know how. At this point, in this moment, she could have given up. It seemed like what she was capable of doing was becoming fewer and fewer all the time. But instead, she had an idea. What if I worked hard enough? Would it matter where I came from? What if I became successful and I was valuable to others. Would it matter what my status is? So in 2001, she graduated from high school. That same year, her parents moved back to their home country, leaving behind a small food cart business that sold funnel cakes. And then she had another idea. What if I paid for my education by selling these funnel cakes? And so she enrolled in college, majoring in finance, and that's just what she did. She paid for her education and paid for her rent by selling these funnel cakes. Interesting fact. Some of her toppings included strawberries, whipped cream, and cinnamon. I love funnel cakes, and I don't know how many she had to sell, but it must have been a ton. Now imagine for just one moment that Julissa was your daughter. She was a full-time student. She worked Friday through Sunday. She had to ride 80 miles to San Antonio's Market Square where she worked every night. Oftentimes, she had to work late into the night. And on this ride, on her way back home through the desert, she rode with a lot of cash on hand. Does this sound safe? Does this sound like something you'd like your daughter to do? No. But she had no choice. The fact is that Julissa did everything that you hope your child would do. She stayed positive, she was determined, focused, and financially savvy. Now, how many 16-year-olds can you say that about? And don't lie to me. But she was still an underdog. So while she was in college, she went looking for her breakthrough, applying for internship after internship. At this point, she had to get a fake ID. Now, most college students, I shouldn't say most, some, maybe a few, already have fake IDs. Only they use theirs to go to a bar on the weekend and get tanked, or during the weekday if they have a problem. Please don't do that. But she used hers to get a job. She used hers to get a job that would work toward one day, possibly a career that she might have. So while she was filling out these applications and sending them off, eventually, one of the most prestigious banks in the country, Goldman Sachs in New York, offered her an internship. Now, just to put this in perspective for you, according to Bloomberg, in the summer of 2013, 350 internship analyst positions were open. 17,000 students from around the globe applied to work at Goldman. It was actually more difficult for you to get into the bank in this position than it was for you to go to Harvard. So for Julissa, this was a huge opportunity, but she was so scared to go. She was so afraid that something would happen. Night after night, she had nightmares of being embarrassed at work, or even worse. But she had a voice inside of her that said, "Go, take this. This is your chance." That was in the summer of 2004. In 2005, she graduated with her degree in finance. She did so well at her internship that Goldman Sachs offered her a full-time position to come back to the bank. Eventually, she worked her way up to an executive position. She was vice president at a time when only 1 in 10 women were executives, and she was one of them. And she did all of this while being undocumented. But her biggest challenge came in 2007. She got a call from her sister while she was at work that her dad was dying in their home country. She didn't want to tell anyone because she didn't want them asking, "Why don't you just get on a plane and go see him for the weekend?" Of course, we know that she couldn't. So she went to the ladies' room and she cried. She held on to a rosary and she prayed. She had a decision to make. Either you're going to go see your dad one last time and most likely never return, or you're going to stay here and you're going to finish what you started. I've never lost a parent, and I thank God every day. I can't imagine how hard this was for her. So she decided to stay. Hours after the phone call, her father passed away. In August of 2014, she officially became a United States citizen through marriage, ending her status as an undocumented American. Today, she works as an immigrants' rights activist, working to build a better future for immigrants everywhere. Now, there are more than a few morals to draw from this story. One is that the harder you work, the luckier you get. There were moments where she could have backed down, where she could have given up. But she decided to charge forward, and look where it got her. Another is that if the history of America says anything, it's that anybody can make it. Yes, you can. Anybody with a heart, vision, guts, and a dream and determination can make it in this country. That's why people want to live here. That's why people want to raise their families here. Another is that it has been said that talent is equally distributed. Let me try that again. Equally distributed among all of us here today, and everyone watching this all over the world. But it is not equally developed. She chose to focus on her talents, to develop what she was good at. She was hardworking and she was great at mathematics. She traded derivatives on Wall Street. If she had looked the other way and focused on what she was not good at, she would not be where she is. But she let all of that go. So, if you decide to do that, if you decide to focus on what you're good at, you could also be the next new American underdog. And I know if some of you might be asking, but she was undocumented. Why would she do this? Why would she do this to me? Remember this, and I think the answer is very simple. Next time that you drive past a graveyard, look out. Look out at those graves. There are many people that died with unrealized dreams and plenty of regrets. They died with music that we will never hear, stories that will never be published, and products that will never touch our lives. But you have an advantage. You aren't in the ground. The average human lives 27,375 days. That's 75 years. And each day you make a withdrawal of 1 from that number. So if you're 30, you have 16,425 days left. Make every day count. Most of us struggle from something. We struggle with our weight. We struggle because we're poor. We struggle because we aren't smart enough. But what if you look beyond all those things and focus on what you're really good at? Maybe then you would be the next new American underdog. And I would love to hear your underdog story. Thank you.